We are live. What's good? What's good, everybody? It's your man Dale Saint. Welcome. I really want to know podcast, man. How y'all feeling? Happy Tuesday. I guess you guys are getting back to work. Hope you had a good long weekend. And hey, you only got a 4-day week this week, y'all, for most folks. So I hope that's pretty cool. I know I was saying I'm gonna talk about finance, and I am later on today, probably this evening. We're gonna do that show with George Gammon, but I saw some things on Breaking Points today, and I'm like, you know what? Let's kick this can around. Hopefully, we get some folks to jump in over here. Maybe we'll have a cool conversation about what's going on with this particular race, man. Like, is this the worst choice America has ever been given for president? I don't know. It's really tough. I could probably say it's the worst choice I've seen since I've been alive. So that's a little over half a century or so. Let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed, man. Hey, shout out to all those YouTubers out there that I have recently made the acquaintance of, man. Some of these YouTubers, these YouTube associates, man. Shout out to them. Flow State, Glenn, Based Oracle, Sarah from Raging Tomato, Ashley, Joe Cool. I mean, there's so many of them out there. It's good to kind of slide over and see just how many people out there doing their thing. It's real cool. A lot of good conversations out there. Look at it, Based Oracles. Like, I hear you. What's good, fam? Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to everyone else, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. The show last night, that took a turn I didn't think it was gonna take, bro. and per your crazy Marine tactics, man. I went away and I came back. You threw me right in the middle of that. I'm like, bro. Way too many rounds flying, man. Way too much red smoke floating around here. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna hunker down right here and watch. But yeah, that was that was cool. It was what it was. But good to see you, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I like YouTube. Man, they're so restrictive. You look at what's going on with a lot of content creators, especially the bigger ones. They're all talking about going to different platforms. Not a lot of choices there, except for Rumble, and a lot of people are going that way with locals. And so yeah, and I'll probably do a show at some point this week talking about the Fresh and Fit thing. Fresh and Fit, they have decided to change the way that they are doing business for business sake, and they're going to put some of their content, I would say the most popular content, behind the paywall. They're going to locals. And of course, people are going to they're going to come out and say, see, it's just a money grab. These guys are just here for money. But I look at what they're doing as, smart move. They give a lot of content for free, and they're still going to give a lot of content for free. The daytime shows are going to be free. Those aren't the most popular shows. But what they're trying to do is go back to basics. They want to go back to what they were doing when they started. They used to be heavy on Zoom. They used to do Zoom calls once a week for their community. They were big on starting community. They had and still have a lot of men that follow them. And some of the things that they started, they have VIP chats on Telegram and stuff like that are still there. And, they've started communities. So I think what they're trying to do is get back to basics. They're going to become accessible again. There was a time where, just for like regular dudes, it was hard to get a hold of Myron and Fresh. But back in the day, you would see them at least once a week. Those Zoom calls would go hours, bro. 2-3 hours easy. With Myron and Fresh, there's sometimes just one or the other. And I'm not gonna lie, bro. When I was in there and I got to see that community from the inside looking out, and they, There's a lot of people getting help in there. There's a lot of, there's a lot of dudes in need of help. So yeah, shout out to them for what they're doing. It is what it is, base. He's like, I take all the credit for Fresh and Fit, new move. Hey man, I was giving it to Glenn, but because Glenn said it. Glenn was like, oh, they should put that after hours behind the paywall. And that's what they're doing. The majority of the after hours, which is the most popular product they have, is going behind the paywall. Sister Jody's in the building. What's good, sis? I'm not wearing any Cincinnati gear, but I'm looking forward to the season opener. Looking forward to the season opener, man. The Bengals should do all right. Pittsburgh has such a tough schedule, so I don't think we have to worry about them too much, but you never count out the Steelers. And Cleveland, I'm not sure what they're going to do. Of course, Baltimore is always a threat, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm going to talk about that Fresh and Fit thing probably later on in the week, kind of examine what they're doing. At the end of the day, bro, it's a business. And they do spend a lot of money running their operation. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today we want to talk about the election, man. The race for the White House, man. We're going to have a few more of these conversations, between now and November. Because I'm getting out there and I'm bumping into people and I'm interacting with folks all over the internet. I'm talking to a lot of folks who are on the liberal side. I'm talking to a lot of people who are on the conservative side. I'm talking to people who are Trumpers. And I'm listening to what's going on and what's being said, and I am in the middle. Like, you guys know me. You guys know I'm not a Trumper, and I'm not going to vote for Trump. There's just no way that I can vote for Trump. But I don't like Biden either, right? I don't like what the Biden administration is doing. And if Biden didn't appear so frail, like, he really does appear to not all be there. Like, old and the age is caught up with him. Maybe I could get behind him. But to me, a vote for Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris. Like, this isn't the Biden thing. This is the Kamala Harris thing, because I do not believe that he can make another 4 years as president. I just don't think he can physically do it. So we're not voting for Biden, or we were voting for Kamala Harris. And I'm not a fan of Kamala Harris. I'm normally not keen on prosecutors. So, man, I don't know what to do, right? I'm sitting here, okay, let me look at RFK Jr. Let me start looking at these other candidates and these other parties. And I saw something on Breaking Points today that I thought would be really good. There's 2 videos we're going to look at, just to kind of get the conversation started, to show how, although right now Trump is ahead in the polls and outside of the margin of error for most of the polls in the states that count, to the point where if the election were tomorrow, Donald Trump would probably win. But having said that, you never know who's going to win. There are no guarantees. You just have to wait and see how people vote, because there are a lot of people out there trying to figure it out, kind of similar to where I am with it. Yeah, maybe we will get one this year. I hope we do get one this year, Jody, for sure. Boy, man, I can't wait for the Bengals just to get one. That'd be so nice. That's all I want for Christmas, man, is a Super Bowl. That's all I want. Super Bowl win. But there are a lot of people out there who are just, they care about America. They care about what's going on. They see the problems plaguing America right now. And the top 2 candidates don't really have the answers, it doesn't seem. And then you look at, RFK Jr., the black sheep. And, he came out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, so what is he going to do? Like, I'm going to have to really start looking into RFK. We're going to do a show on that as well. Between now and November, I'm going to have to start doing some research. But I mean, what am I going to find? He doesn't have a record. Like, what has he done? Has he ran a business? No, he just came from a very wealthy family, a very well-known family. Does he have any experience in politics? I don't think so. I mean, he just came from out of nowhere. So what is he going to do if he were to get in the office? What is his platform? I'm not quite sure. I don't know. But I'm going to look into it. I have to find an RFK Jr. supporter and find out what that campaign is all about. But Donald Trump decided to go to a libertarian convention, and I don't think it went the way he had hoped. So we're going to check this out, man. This is from Breaking Points. This Breaking Points, you guys know, is one of my favorite media outlets. They're independent. These guys, Sagar and Crystal, came from mainstream media. They started their own thing. I discovered them on Joe Rogan. And I'm like, huh? They started their own thing, and I've been watching them, and I like what they're doing. I really do. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wish I wish Crystal can tone down her like or dislike or something. I really do. She's not too terrible, but you can tell, like in this, you'll see in this clip, this segment, you can actually tell exactly where she stands when it comes to Trump. You can tell where she stands when it comes to Biden. It's just she's not as animated when talking about the Biden problem sometimes. Um, so we're gonna get into this, and they have Dave Smith, who I don't know. He must be a big time libertarian. Don't know Dave Smith, but it says that Trump had a meltdown um, at this convention. They did let him come and speak. Let's check this out.
We're very excited now to be joined by Dave Smith. He is host of the Part of the Problem podcast. He's a prominent libertarian. And for our purposes, recently appeared at the Libertarian Convention, where former President Donald Trump actually spoke and was booed on the stage. So let's take a listen, and then we'll get Dave's reaction.
Combined with us in a partnership, we're asking that of the libertarians. We must work together. Combine with us. You have to combine with us. We cannot give crooked Joe Biden 4 more years. We cannot give crooked Joe Biden 4 more years. Anyone can talk about defending freedom, but I've actually put everything on the line to resist these despots and these stuff. And I stand before you tonight as your best hope of defeating the weaponized Biden.
Woo, maybe.
Okay. You could see from that clip clearly, Donald Trump was not ready for that. He's, I wonder what it looked like behind the scenes. A lot of folks talk about Donald Trump and they talk about how he's funny and they're entertained by the things that he's saying and the stuff that he does. And I'm like, all right, cool. So you want to be an entertainer? You want to live by the sword? You can die by the sword. That is what it looks like when you bomb. All right. That is what it looks like. That is when you bomb hard. And he couldn't read the room. He went in with his bit and he's thinking, I'm about to go crush this, right? These people look like me. They look like the crazy folks that wear my hats and stuff. This is going to be easy. And he got in there and he got decimated. Couldn't read the room. Why are you there? And my thing would be, well, why don't you go to some of those breakouts? Why don't you do like smaller events? You went right up there to the main stage. And a lot of that is probably because Vivek Ramaswamy did halfway decent. They say that he didn't get, booed nearly as much. I don't know. I haven't seen any clips, but I think they mentioned that in this clip, in this segment. But those are the libertarians, bro. You know what I mean? Those are the libertarians. Like, it is what it is. Sister Jody, I like RFK not voting. He has been censored by government a lot. Yeah, I mean, everyone's message is out there. You just got to go out there and get it. Viper J in the building. What's good, fam? Brother Jay. How you feeling, brother? Good to see you. So I wonder if anyone got fired behind that. I wonder if Trump went off or did, like when it was all over, start screaming at folks, or I wonder if he was humbled by the experience, because I don't think that has happened to Trump often. There's been instances when people started booing, but the rest of the crowd would boo down the booers, pull them out. There's been violence, little violence, people getting smacked around or whatever. And Trump is up there like, yeah, get them kind of thing. I think he's just used to that. I don't think he's been in a situation when the entire place is like, F you, bro. And he's hearing all that. He's looking at these people and he sees the anger in their eyes. I don't think he's ever dealt with that before. I wonder how he handled that. Brother Jay, like, yeah, off topic, good seeing you on Andrew Wilson's channel. Yeah, man, I was on one of his people's channels and they were simulcasting, bro. Yeah, like I said, I'm getting out there, I'm meeting folks. Andrew Wilson was doing his thing. It was actually, he wound up making some dude rage quit. He told me we spoke, we went, we sparred a little bit, we kind of felt each other out, and then he went over and this other dude who actually admittedly was saying some dumb shit. It was just like listening to this guy talk, like, who is this human? But yeah, man, you're gonna see me doing that, getting out more, talking to more folks. yeah, we'll see how it plays out, man. Thanks, man. I'm glad you was out there, man. I didn't see you in the chat, bro. You must have been out there doing Overwatch, man. Just checking it out, man. So appreciate you, bro. Shout out to you again. So let's continue with the video.
Yeah, you love to see it. You hate to see it. Dave, you spoke a little bit before. Just give us a rundown. What led up to that? What was the reaction? Why were people in the crowd so upset with Trump?
Well, I mean, you know, the Libertarian Party it's a third party, and I don't know as much about, say, like the Green Party, but I'd imagine it's a similar type of dynamic where, I mean, these are people, they're a member of a third party in a country that is rigged for two parties. And the reason they're there is because they are so disgusted with the establishment of both political parties. And so to have an actual president who's got a 4-year track record and many things that us libertarians are very unhappy about, this was just destined to go this way. I'm not sure if he knew what he was walking into. I think you know, he might have been like, oh, libertarians are kind of like Republicans, and maybe they'll like some things about me. And but you know, Bobby Kennedy and Vivek Ramaswamy both spoke the previous day, and they drew some boos, but they also got some cheers. But Donald Trump just, I mean, before he said a word, the place had it with him.
So,
I mean, think about that. And that's, you know what, like I said, I knew the thing about Vivek. I didn't know about RFK Jr. was there. So the day before they're there, Trump's people probably, you know, checking it out, doing some recon. It was like, oh, okay, they, you know, RFK Jr., cool, we get that. But Vivek, you know what I mean? They you know, they booed Vivek a little bit, but there was some claps and stuff. So yeah, Trump should be all right. And it's like, oh boy, Dave said, it's like, look, man, it's a legit third party, man. They are absolutely sick of the two-party system. This dude is a former president. As soon as he walked in there, it was boo, boo, F you. I know he was hearing all that. And not a single clap during the whole thing. And I think that had to put Trump on his butt. Like, yo, here's a guy who, you know, you see the world one way, and then you go into a situation like this. And again, you're looking at folks like they look like my people. And then to go up there and to just not understand what you were getting yourself into and to get booed. I mean, that's a good study into looking how, you know, look at Trump when he looks rattled. You want to know what the guy looks like when he's rattled? There it is. You want to look like the guy, you want to know what the guy looks like when he's not on his game. He's been rocked off his game. There you go. There you go. You know, will Donald Trump talk to any other fringes or any other third party, you know, conventions or any other groups? Probably not. Probably not. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that's like, well, you know, I can get it together. I can win these people over. He just wasn't ready for it. Last good man in Jersey's in the building. What's good, fam? So let's continue.
What do you think was his goal in going, and do you think he accomplished whatever that goal was? By the way, I've never loved libertarians more than this moment. And you're right with the Green Party comparison, because if Joe Biden went and spoke at a Green Party convention, I don't think it would go very well at this point.
Well, it's also like I think people don't understand, and it's the reason why I used the Green Party comparison, because I think that there might be some people who have the perception that say like, well, the Green Party are a click left of the Democrats, or, you know, the differences are that, you know, whatever, like the Democrats wanted Obamacare, but they want, you know, nationalized health care. But that's not really the dynamic. Or that is, but there's much more than that. The people in the Green Party look at Barack Obama as a war criminal who should be put in prison. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just, oh, I'm a click to the left of you or something like that. And that's the same dynamic with libertarians. We look at Donald Trump as the guy who for 4 straight years backed the Saudis in their genocidal war against the people in Yemen. It's not like, oh, I wish he had lowered taxes a bit more than he did. There's much more fundamental issues. And, you know, to your question, I think you guys have covered it on your show quite a bit. I think they're really concerned about Bobby Kennedy, and they realize that the margins might be much thinner than they think. And the Libertarians are a party who have gotten millions of votes for the last 2 cycles. I don't think they're going to this cycle, but they have in the last 2 cycles. And I guess they made the calculation that was worth making an attempt to get those votes.
I think it was actually.
So yeah, the race is close. And Last Good Man in Jersey makes a good point here. He's like, I think Trump showed his hand. He thinks the race is close and every vote counts. And 3% libertarians can't be ignored, even though he can't win them. I think you're right. And that's pretty much what he just said there. Every vote does count. Yes, Trump is up in the polls. Again, like I always talk about margin of error. Even in some of the swing states, he's outside of the margin of error. I'm talking about his lead. But again, who are they polling? And of the people being polled, are they likely voters? Right? There's so many questions. There's so many different polls. It's made it to the point where you really can't rely on polls anymore, but you can't ignore them either. So Trump and the Trump people know how close this is. The Biden folks know how close this is. Right? Both parties know, like, everything's on the line here. And it's like, hey, calling all cars on this one, man. We got to make this happen. So, yeah, Trump has showed his hand in a sense. His campaign has showed their hand in a sense. It's like, hey, bro, you're going to have to go out here and try to get you one vote. If you go into this room of people who hate you, you come out of here with 0.5%, that's great, right? Get them. Because otherwise, these people are going to vote a different way, which they already know they're going to vote. Anybody who's in that party and at that convention, they're not voting for a Republican or a Democrat. They're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. I don't see it. So it's almost a waste of time, but it does, like, to Last Good Man in Jersey's point, it does show his hand a little bit of how tight this race is.
Actually a smart play. I probably would have gone about it differently. But I think it was revealed, exactly, this is a game of margins, and it's a mistake to write these things off. Dave, I did want to ask you then about the eventual developments, because there's been a lot of discussion about this. Libertarian nominee ended up being Chase Oliver. I know there's been some, I guess, backlash, I guess you could say, from more of the right-wing culture people who are out there. Probably not were going to be libertarians themselves, but I wanted your reaction as somebody involved in the party. You were talking to us previously about some of the schisms that have developed. So maybe give us a taste of what was going into this, what the ideological fractures in the Libertarian Party look like, and then give us where Chase Oliver falls within those ideological fractures.
Well, so my faction, which is the Mises Caucus, is, just broadly speaking, is Ron Paul. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then there's kind of a faction that might be more Gary Johnson. Yeah, this is a little bit sloppy. The Ron Paul thing is a better comparison, but then there's kind of people who are just in the middle of the party, and then there is what's more the left portion of the Libertarian Party. Chase was always firmly in the kind of woke libertarian camp. He moderated that message a lot for this campaign and didn't really talk about a lot of those things that he had previously been talking about a lot. Basically, what happened is the Mises guys, my guys, were the biggest demographic in the room, but not a majority. Mm-hmm. And so our candidate was winning every single round, and ultimately the middle split and went with Chase, and that got him over the edge. So that's where we are.
Okay. Gotcha. One thing that I've been wondering about is, to go back a little bit to the Green Party, Democratic Party comparison. It's unimaginable to me that Joe Biden would go and try to court the Green Party demographic. And it's not just in this moment. There has always been this very different orientation ever since 2016, when the Jill Stein voters were blamed by the Democrats for electing Donald Trump. And it's this very nasty adversarial shaming position of how dare you vote for anyone other than Joe Biden? Whereas you don't hear that same thing from the Republican Party, even though, to your point, libertarian nominees have gotten millions of votes. They could easily do the same thing and say, hey, it's you guys' fault. You didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2020. What the hell? Where were you? We needed you. Why do you think there's that different approach from Republicans to libertarians versus from the Democrats towards the left?
Before we hear his response, she's right about that, man. All you got to do is look at The View. They had Charlemagne the God on The View. So you have all these women. You had that one woman, that Sunny lady, whoever she is, she's been an attorney or is an attorney or whatever. And she's trying to lean on Charlemagne, endorse Joe Biden. Endorse Joe Biden. Why won't you endorse Joe Biden? And Charlemagne is making some valid points. I'm not going to avoid, I'm not going to back this guy. I'm not going to give this guy an endorsement. I did last time, and I was let down. I'm not going to tell my people to go vote for this guy. However, I'm telling them not to vote for the other guy. So it's basically a quiet endorsement, right? But that wasn't good enough. No. We need you to come out and say, this is the guy. The Democrats do that. They really do. I mean, Republicans, I'm not around enough of them to see it like that. I know a lot of folks when I'm going around to different YouTube channels, people be like, hey man, we rock with you, man. You cool. But I come right out and tell them, like, I'm not a Trump guy. And they're like, man, we need to get you over to Trump. We need to bring you over to our team is a far cry from you're on my team and you better endorse this person. Right? It's like two different things there. And this is American politics. I certainly, again, I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump, but damn, like, what am I going to do with this vote? I'm certainly, voting for Biden, bro. I don't know. I have to get my brother LJ up here. We're gonna have to talk about it. Me and him talk about it all the time. Last good man in Jersey says, I disagree. I talk to both the right and the left, and both sides think the other side is insane. Yes, they think the other side is insane, but if you are a Republican and you say you're not voting for Trump or you're not endorsing Trump, will they jump your shit for it? I don't know. Like the people that I know on the right and the people I know that are Trumpers, I watch them argue back and forth. There are people who are like, look, I voted for Trump last time, but this secret document thing, I can't get past it, or all these indictments, I don't like this. Well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna vote for Biden? They're like, I might go for RFK, right? So, but they don't say I need you to go out there and get on our team, get in line, and go out here and spread the word, take these campaign signs. I'm not seeing that. But again, you probably are around more conservatives and or Trumpers than I am. I'm around more just regular conservative Republicans. I'm around a few Trumpers, not a whole lot of Trumpers. I'm just around old school Republicans. And the old school Republicans are talking like, yeah, man. They'll say, like, I don't know if I don't know if I can vote for a Democrat. I'll just stay home. I'm hearing that a lot. And that's them talking amongst themselves. There's a lot of we can agree to disagree type stuff. And I guess on the Republican side is so long as you're not voting for a Democrat, right? I think that's pretty much where they land. But on the Democratic side, it's like, nah, it's not enough that you vote. You got to go tell everybody else to go vote for this guy, Biden, especially if, if you have a big platform or have a big voice. So I don't know, bro. Like I said, you probably know better than I do, and I'll definitely take your word for it. When I talk to some of my newfound associates out here on YouTube, my Trumper friends and conservative friends, I'll ask them.
Well, because I've been a member of the Libertarian Party for years now, I might have a slightly different perspective than you, because I have heard that from like Republican voters.
There it is.
Saying, oh, you guys are just, you throw the election to Biden.
Spoilers,
you're gonna help,
et cetera, et
you're
cetera.
going to help Democrats win. You are correct that I have not heard it from like the most powerful people in the party. It's not something that I've heard like Republican presidential candidates talk about, whereas you have heard, like Hillary Clinton blaming, the Green Party for her defeat, but while she's blaming everything else in between. Strangely,
women didn't think she was perfect, David. That was the problem. I don't know if you saw that.
But
they're right to laugh at Clinton.
In a way, from their perspective, they're kind of right. It is true that if everybody who voted for the Green Party voted for the Democrats, that would help the Democrats. And if everyone who voted for the Libertarians voted for Republicans, that would help them. But the issue is that from our perspective, on every issue that matters, there's no difference between them. And that, I'm sure you could find one or two issues that matter where there's some difference, probably not a whole lot. But, to me, what really matters first and foremost is the issue of war and peace. That's always been my biggest issue. I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand from any political ideological perspective how that's not the most important issue. Like if you're a left winger and the basic fundamental building block of your philosophy is that power dynamics can be abusive and you want to be on the side of the people with less power over those who wield it over them. Well, there's no better example of that than war. If you're a libertarian and you care about, like government violating people's rights, Well, there's no better example of that than war.
Yeah.
And if you're a right winger who cares about like your nation and order and things like this, well, there's nothing more destructive to nations and order than war. So anyway, and when it comes to the issue of war, the Democrats and the Republicans are basically identical. And that's also true when it comes to issues of banking and money and corruption and corporate bailouts and all of these things. So from our perspective, it's like, yeah, we're not voting for you guys because we're against all the things you're for.
He has a great point there. And I argue that all the time. Like, it doesn't matter who you vote for, Republican or Democrat, they're all controlled by the 1%. And what he's saying is pretty much what I'm talking about. Like, when it comes to war, like, I don't have a problem with war. I think we should go to war when we have to. I think there's a lot of times where we're sending our most valuable resources, our young men and women, you know, the best parts of America, off to fight and put their lives on the line and put themselves in harm's way for nothing. I mean, we shouldn't be over there fighting somebody so some corporation can get more money or some corporation can take over. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be going after those people who mean to hurt us, right? That's one thing. But if the war makes sense, then I'm behind it, because y'all know, you follow me, Uncle Saint's a violent person. I ain't got a problem with war, but I got a problem with squandering American lives over some BS. I got a problem with that. But when you get into like what he was saying about bailouts, we have a corporate welfare system in this country, and we bail out people who make bad decisions all the time. And you look at what's going on with these corporations, and they're all looking for bailouts. They're all looking for the Fed to drop the interest rates. They're all looking for cheap money so they can continue doing what they were doing, even though that shit doesn't work. Republicans and Democrats alike get behind that shit. They're all 100% in for bailing out corporate America, bailing out Wall Street, even though Wall Street is just drunk on cheap money and they make dumb bets. They gamble aggressively because they know the government's going to bail them out. And that's where we are right now. That's where Republicans and Democrats both do that shit, right? And everything else that he was saying, I agree with. Now, people are like, looks like Uncle Saint's about to become a libertarian. He's about to become a Green Party guy. No, but I can see myself get behind one of their candidates if it makes sense. But nah, I'm not, I just understand it. I'm not team this or team that. I'm not going to go in and just vote the party ticket. I'm not going to go down there and just go right down the line, Democrat, 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 or Republican, Republican, Republican. I'm actually looking at the candidates and I'm trying to figure out what I think they're going to do. And I'm trying to figure out just how far in the pocket of the 1% these people are. How far down the pocket of Saban are you? How far down the pockets of the Kochs are you? I want to know how much money you taking and how many votes you owe, or how much allegiance you owe to that big money, if I can figure it out. That's what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? We got players in demand, paid in the building. What's good, fam? In the last 100 years, name 2 wars that were worth fighting. I would say World War II was definitely worth fighting. We had to stop the fascists. And that was the last war we were in. I would say, you said 100 years though, like the last century. Man, I would only say the only war really worth fighting for America was World War II. I mean, we had to stop that. We had to stop what the Nazis were doing. We had to stop the Japanese. Italy was just, part of it, a scrap on guy, but we had to stop that. And we saw the horrors. We saw what they were doing, the true evil behind the Third Reich. We saw what the Japanese were doing and how brutal that Bushido code is. So we had to fight that. And by the way, that was the last time America declared war. So, all these conflicts aren't even necessarily wars, bro. We're just going over there. You look at Korea, stopping communism. You look at Korea, you look at Vietnam. For the Russians, you look at Afghanistan. You look at what we were doing in the Middle East. We definitely had to stop those extremist folks that were in the desert. We had to stop them. I don't think that was necessary. Right? I really don't. Like the Gulf War, us going in there to protect Kuwait from Saddam Hussein. I think we could have sat down to Saddam Hussein. And from what I understand, Saddam Hussein wasn't necessarily in the wrong for what he was doing. But after 9/11, we had to go get Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. We had to go get them. The rest of that was messed up. George W. Bush really messed up going into Saddam Hussein's Iraq. That was wrong. But we had to go into Afghanistan. We had to get the Taliban. We had to get, and Al-Qaeda was protecting the Taliban. We had to go get them. But that wasn't a war, right? The Congress never declared war. So the last time we declared war was World War II. And okay, we had to go to World War II. So I guess that's my answer to you, bro. I can't name two, but I can definitely name one, like 1.5, right? We had to go deal with Al-Qaeda. We had to deal with the Taliban, bro. It was really the Taliban and Al-Qaeda was, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban was protecting them. We had to deal with that. But the rest of it, man, I'm with you. Like it was just a total waste of life. And it's making money and it's showing off our hardware. It's showing off what we can sell. Hey, you guys want an Abrams tank? Hey guys, you guys want a Bradley? This is what we charge them for. You want an F4 Phantom? This is what we charge you for them. You know what I mean? Hey, you want a Patriot missile system? Hey, we can get you a Iron Dome. You got enough money. And Brother Paid, I believe the democracy has so far disappeared in the United States that no two evil exists. There is but one evil party with two names, and it will be elected despite all I can do or say. W.E.B. Du Bois. Yeah. And man, when did he say that? That was, man, turn of the century. It's probably when he said that. Wow. Shit, bro. That's fire right there. That's a Don DeMarco right there. And that's where we are, man. How do we turn it around? I don't know, but let's get back to the video.
So well said, Dave, and it's so true. It's also the area where the president has the most impact in terms of what they can do and the most amount of leeway from Congress, especially with the bipartisan corruption that we currently have. You made a comment earlier I want to come back to. You said, I don't think we're going to get millions of votes around this time. So why do you think that is? Is it because of some of the electoral weaknesses of Chase? Is it the RFK Jr. factor? Maybe some of these Mises Caucus guys will be going there. How do you see that playing out this time?
Well, yeah, all of that. I mean, all of those things
Got
that
it.
you just said are major factors. So
Okay.
number one, Bobby Kennedy running is just a totally different game now. We really haven't seen anything like this since Ross Perot. And the Libertarian Party benefited from kind of being the third party, the protest vote. And we don't have that anymore. A lot of the people, in fact, I would say an overwhelming majority of the Mises Caucus faction, which still was the largest bloc in the Libertarian Party, are just not going to support Chase. And while, listen, I do want to give him credit for this because Chase is really good on war. And I'm glad that he is, and I hope that message gets out as much as possible. I do think he has other positions that are going to be complete non-starters with the overwhelming majority of people who might consider voting Libertarian, and things that I personally believe are not the correct Libertarian position. But even if you thought they were the correct Libertarian position, objectively are non-starters for huge portions of people who vote Libertarian. I have things like open borders, being very woke on the trans kids issue. I think not supporting surgeries, but supporting chemical castration or whatever fancy word they're calling it now. Gender affirming care. But just things that are, I think, really out there. He look, I don't want, the guy just got the nomination, so I'm not trying to tear him down immediately.
That's
and also
fine.
I don't want to be a sore loser because my guy lost and he won. but I don't see how it's gonna be a year where the Libertarian candidate gets a lot of votes.
Okay.
How does
I was thinking that overall, those third party organizations like the Green Party, like the Libertarian Party, and then the independents like the RFK Jr. type folks, I'm wondering if they would get more votes than normal. Like, okay, he's saying it's not going to go to his party, But how many votes are the RFK people? Will he be able to create a broad coalition amongst the protest voters? You know, to really make a difference, or is it going to be just a Ross Perot thing? You know, he's just going to siphon off enough votes to let one or the other win. I wonder how that's going to work. And I mean, what are the odds of RFK Jr. actually winning the election? Like, is that like even a thing? I mean, I really doubt it, but I wonder. I'm just wondering. And Brother Pay was like, yeah, Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. You're absolutely right. George W. Bush messed out all the way up. We had an opportunity to get in there, take care of business in Afghanistan. We could have put some American bases in Afghanistan. That would have kept the peace in that region. Saddam Hussein could have stayed in power. Yeah, he's a bad guy, but he was a reasonable bad guy, right? We wouldn't have, in my opinion, we wouldn't have had to use the dark sites in Guantanamo if Saddam Hussein was still in power. We could have picked up these, quote unquote bad guys. These Taliban type, Al Qaeda types that was, still trying to do whatever they're doing, the quote unquote terrorists. We could have picked them up and taken them to Saddam Hussein's Iraq and say, hey, tell us what we need to know. Tell us what these people are. We're going to turn you over to them. And then sit there and let them, watch one of their buddies get tortured. Like, you're next if you don't tell us this information. And guess what? Them boys would have talked. I think they played that all the way wrong. But yeah, Brother Pay, my baby started over from the beginning. He's like, Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. Are you really going to equivocate over what a war is? The Constitution is being ignored every time we enter a conflict without constitutionally required votes. I mean, bro, my point is, the point you're making is the point that I'm making. America needs to follow the Constitution. If we're going to go to war, we need to declare war. But now we're at war with terrorism. So, what country is run by terrorists, or is a terrorist country? The reason we were able to go into Afghanistan is because the Taliban ran Afghanistan. That was the government. So we were, able to go in there and get that done. And they should have declared war on Afghanistan, but they didn't. But, they mismanaged that to hell, right? Think about that. Like, you're talking to a dude, you're talking to a paratrooper, bro. Like, we were death dealers. That's it. That's what we did. That's what we waited around for that shit. And we knew that the country wasn't going to declare war. We knew the president was going to authorize us to get dropped off somewhere and have to deal with whatever we got to deal with. Look at what happened in Somalia. You know what I mean? So I agree with you. We should adhere to the documents that we hold so dear, right? We should be doing that, but we don't. And why is that? Because we let the politicians get away with this bullshit. So I'm with you 100%. We never should have invaded Iraq, ever, right? That was absolutely the wrong thing to do. Why did Bush do it? W said that guy tried to kill my dad. A lot of people tried to kill your dad, homie. There's a lot of people tried to kill me. A lot of people tried to kill my people. This is on the streets. Like, I can't just go and just start, bombing their family home because that's ridiculous, right? But I agree with you, bro. You know what I mean? And as far as what war is, like, war is war. Like, there is a declaration of war between nations. War is war. And then there are conflicts, right? Panama, Grenada, conflicts. Somalia, conflict, right? You look at that sort of thing. And again, sometimes, man, I know the answer might suck and you might not like it, but the last time America declared war was 1941, right? That's the last time America declared war. What the time before that was for the First World War, right? And I was thinking about that. I'm like, should we have gone into the First World War? I don't know. I've been doing my own little research studying about that war. I don't know if America should have got involved, but that whole Lusitania thing, and you sway public opinion, and it is what it is. Brother Pitney's in the building. What's good, man? Yeah, please like the video. I do appreciate that. Brother Dino Dinosaur's in the building. What's good, fam? Like, he's telling me that RFK Jr. is only on 8 state ballots right now. I know he's got a man. That's crazy. That's crazy. It kind of goes to what Sister Jody was saying. Like, maybe there is a push from the powers to be to keep him off the ballots. Again, now we're back to just we got the Republicans, Democrats. Of course, we got the Green Party. We got the Libertarians. What are we going to do?
the Libertarian Party and people who may vote Libertarian, how do you think they in general feel about Bobby Kennedy and how he's positioned himself? There seems to be affinity in certain places, not affinity in other places. There have been some talk about maybe he pursue the Libertarian nomination. I know his name was put in. He didn't seem to get a lot of votes. So just talk us through some of those dynamics.
Well, libertarians are individualists. And so it's all, if you ask 100 different libertarians, you'll probably get 100 different, answers. I know there were a lot of positions that he was very bad on from the libertarian perspective that he kind of started sounding a little better on, but there was never really an explanation for how he got there, and so to go from, whatever, that the Koch brothers should be arrested for denying climate change to now kind of seeing climate change, the agenda as this trap to usher in totalitarianism is a big leap on guns and a lot of other issues. He doesn't sound the same now as he sounded in the not very distant past. But I'll tell you from my perspective, when I first found out that he was interested in seeking the Libertarian nomination, I thought it was something we really should consider. This was back in the summer of last year. And because we did have huge areas of agreement, particularly, he was so good on Ukraine and he was so good on the COVID regime. He was really good on the deep state and three-letter agencies in general. And he was really good on China also, which is like the one that none of us probably cover enough, that there's just been so many moves to push tensions with China, so going back to the Obama administration through Trump and continuing with Biden. But for me, as I'm sure kind of for you guys, after October, it was all over. It was just, and I could maybe get over you not being great on that issue, but when your foreign policy advisor is Rabbi Shmuley, and you're going around the entire country, and you're coming, as he said on your show, I was just so disgusted. I'd never consider the guy again when he said to you guys that the Palestinians are the most pampered people in the world. It's like, I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that. You're done. And also, all of us are going into our conspiracy minds right now. Like, who would possibly say that? Who would possibly just go on this public humiliation tour like this? Like, what do they have on you? That's all I keep thinking. And so, but even aside from that, just the policy itself, it's so disgusting.
I will say, Dave.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we spoke to him. I actually think he believes it. It's when sometimes people are like, "Oh, it's got to be blackmail or all that." I'm not going to say that that doesn't play a role. Yeah,
that's
actually
worse.
I agree. No, that's what I'm saying. I want people to know that. That's why it's actually worse. And I'm not just talking about Bobby Kennedy. I'm talking about a lot of people out there who are beating the anti-war drum. I'm like, no, ideology is actually much more poisonous because you can fix foreign influence theoretically, but you can't fix necessarily changing someone's belief. And that's what I wanted to get actually with you was. So how important? So for the left, Green Party, I think Jill Stein is going to get a lot of votes, and I think Israel is one of the #1 reasons that is the case. In the Libertarian Party, how many people are like you, like Ron Paul, the original Ron Paul revolution against the war? How much of that holds over to the current block of people who would vote Libertarian and are as animated by the Israel-Palestine issue, but more broadly, what it reveals about foreign policy, like you? Do you think it's a large constituency, or are those largely leftists now? How do you see it?
I think.
And before we hear his answer there, I'm curious. I think that's a good question. This is why I like Breaking Points, guys. Real quick, check them out. And I am an unpaid spokesperson, bro. I just like what they're doing. I no affiliate code, no nothing like that. I just like the way that they present the news. Is that my only source? No, you do as much reading as you can. If you read in other languages, that's a plus, you know what I mean? Because even when you use translator apps, I think something is lost in translation. But I like to hear what they have to say about the news. Brother Joe Cool's in the building. What's good, fam? Good afternoon to you too, bro. Hope all is well, man. We got Brother Templar in the house. What's good, fam? Lib, socialist, progressive, they are all anti-reality commies, hell-bent on destruction. Well, it's always always good to see Brother Templar come in with his opinion. And hey, man, I hear you. My thing is, I want more Americans to think. That's all I want. I want Americans to do what we talk about over here all the time, man. When something comes up, man, put it through the old
think tank. Arch, nothing gets past the old think tank. Nothing.
I want you to think it through. But so many Americans can't think it through for whatever reason. But let's continue.
I think there's a large group there. And I also do think that there's, I think there's a group within the Republican voters also who are, largely America first and don't want to be funding any of these wars. I think that, by the way, again, just to run the counterfactual here, not to just pick on Bobby for no reason, but the other thing that's so frustrating about him is, like, imagine if he was good on this.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Just like, imagine he would be president of the United States of America. He would win if as a third party. Look, what do you got? I mean, you look at the polls. 70% of Democrats want a ceasefire. 50% of them think this is a genocide. I mean, Bobby Kennedy could pull so many of them over, and then he could pull a lot of America First Republicans. He could pull the Libertarians. I mean, if he had been good on this issue, I really think he would have broken the two-party system and won the presidency as an independent. And
possible.
I mean, if he was a Democrat, they still would have rigged the thing against him, but it would have been, I think, even more powerful than Bernie Sanders. And anyway, but I do think this is a large block. It's we kind of don't get to run the test and find out because the three biggest candidates are all so horrible on this issue and there's like no space between them. I think Trump's criticism of Biden is that, like, he talked about giving some food to Gaza once, and that's not pro-Israel enough. And so if one of them had a different view, we would kind of get to find out how many people, but because it's just scattered to all the third party candidates, I don't know if we'll know for sure.
Yeah.
Dave,
I wonder if America, the third party in America, the third party system will ever get traction and become viable. I wonder if that will ever happen in my lifetime, that you actually have someone like they said, a Bernie Sanders or RFK or Ross Perot or whoever that will actually win an election. And if that happened, what would that mean for America? So, okay, so you got a president in the White House who has no allegiance to the people who are running Congress, right? I would say the people in the House and people in the Senate, no allegiance. I kind of would like to see that. No, I mean, how many vetoes would we see? You would force the Republicans and Democrats to work together to override some stuff. Like, what would America look like if a third party candidate won an election and took the White House? I wonder what that would look like. I hope I get to see that in my lifetime.
what is this is my last question for you. What is sort of like your political theory of how this changes, how we get out of this two-party duopoly? What's your theory? Is it ranked choice voting? Is it having a candidate who's like Bobby Kennedy, but actually good and has the, star power, whatever, to be able to break through? How do you see the best possible path playing out?
I don't want to, be a bummer here, but I don't know that there is a path. I don't know. Look, I mean, the reality of the situation is that even if, this great imaginary candidate that he won, we all know the president doesn't really have any power if he's going against the grain. And I mean,
Yes.
And I'm not contradicting what you said earlier. Yes, he's the commander in chief on paper, he's,
Right.
but if you really oppose the agenda of the CIA, they're going to find a way to compromise you or take you out. And I just think that's the bottom line. So, but the system that we have right now is totally unsustainable. So this can't continue. I mean, this is just a math equation. I mean, you could just look at the debt and how much long, and you look at look at entitlements. I mean, these are going to blow up. It's a matter of how long until they do. But the numbers when you project out like 30 years, or I think you get to like over $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. The debt itself is now, we're at a point where the interest payments on the debt are rapidly overtaking everything else in the government.
That part right there, guys, that part right there, major. What he's saying is just the interest payments alone on the national debt is more than we spend on everything else to include our military budget. Think about that. Everything else, we're paying more on the interest of the debt than we are on our spending on education or health care or military infrastructure, right? Benefits. Think about that. We're spending more on interest than we spend on national defense. We might have gone too far. It might be broken. There's nothing we can do about it. I don't know. But they're going to continue to spend and do whatever they're doing until what? Until the entire planet collapses financially.
This system is unsustainable. There has been a major global movement away from the dollar as a reserve currency. If that ever finally happens, then this is over. And so my thing is that I think that changing hearts and minds really matters. I think that there's a reason why governments rely on propaganda, because that's very important to them. And I think we have an opportunity now to counter the propaganda in a way that we never really had before. And so that's always kind of been what my focus is. It's all about kind of spreading a message. But, you know, the idea that somebody is going to get in there in DC and take the whole thing down, I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think ultimately what I would like to see is a move toward decentralization as much as possible. And so, you know, like in the same sense that, the Soviet Union wasn't going to collapse because somebody took over and, like ran the thing the right way. It just was that people, balkanized. And that I think is perhaps our best hope.
Got it. Well, Dave, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend, and you're welcome back here.
Hey, man, dude was dropping bombs. He was dropping bombs. Now, to sit there and say that other nations, other parts of the world are looking to come off the dollar, I agree with that. The problem is, and George Gammon brought this up on the PBD podcast a while ago, maybe a year ago, it's like all of the debt that is in dollars has to be settled in dollars. All that debt. So even if you come up with a new currency, let's say you come up with a global currency that's called Earth money or whatever you come up with, you're not going to be able to use Earth money to settle the outstanding dollar debt. So you're going to have to get all the dollars to pay off the dollar debt and then transition over to your Earth dollar or whatever that you come up with. That's the first thing. Second thing, and again, I am no expert in this field. I'm just, parodying what he said, and it kind of made sense to me. But once, if the whole thing collapses, like if America crashes financially, everyone else, the rest of the world is just jacked up. Who is going to recover first? America will. America will recover first. And is America going to come up with a new currency? Nah, still whatever currency it is going to be, backed by America. So, okay, we're not using the dollars anymore. We're going to go to a digital dollar, right? We got a central bank digital dollar. Okay, the rest of the world's going to make, if you want our help, you're going to have to take our currency, which is this digital dollar, which is even worse than the fiat dollar. So you see where we are. Like, I don't see America until America is knocked off the pedestal as number one financially, number one militarily, and all that. The number one place people want to move to. Until that changes, I don't think we're going to have another currency that we have to worry about. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Brother Penny's like the national debt is an issue that no one cares enough about. It needs to be brought under control for America to remain a global superpower. Facts. I agree with that, bro. And look at Brother Dino's like, no recession, DL. Over the last 30 years, the Dems have done better with your economy. I don't agree with that, bro. I don't agree with that. I ain't gonna lie to you, though. I'd rather be over here in America than over there where you are, mate. I'd rather be over here than dealing with what y'all dealing with under the crown over there. I know Parliament runs everything. I just wanted to say the crown, but man, I don't know about that. See, Brother Michael, he's like, you can't settle the debts in dollars, though, since there is more debt than dollars circulating. But that's what George Gammon's argument was. Dollars will become more valuable because people will be looking for dollars. That was his whole argument. I'll find that, and we'll probably do that one day. I'll bring up that show again. He was saying that dollars would become more valuable because of the fact that you're putting out there right now. Because they can't get enough dollars. So again, that's not my wheelhouse, but what he was saying made sense to me. The governments will be looking to settle their debts in dollars before they transition over to the new currency. That was the point he was making, right? So, and I was kind of like, okay, you know, brother D Mac is in the building. Now D Mac knows more about this stuff than I do. It's like, hola, bro, what's good, man? K-Tal, like he is saying the same thing I have been saying, bro. You will have a global currency. That's dude is pretty much saying that. I see Michael saying you eventually just reevaluate the assets against the shortfalls in dollars to create bank equality. Huh. Is that how it works? Because I do not know. I'm legit listening because I do not know how that would happen. Again, way outside my wheelhouse. But that was the argument that George Gammon was making. And and you know, George Gammon, I don't know, Michael, I don't know if you're familiar with George Gammon, but go check out his YouTube channel, Rebel Capitalist, and like send in the chat. Like the people in his chat are all about that shit, bro. Like, you know, send in, like, see what they're talking about in that chat as far as transitioning over, coming off the dollar onto some other currency. Because I'm like you, bro. Like, I'm not like you. I'm unlike you. I don't really understand how that works. I really don't. Like the fact that a bank can lend into existence money, like you can go to a bank and say, hey, let me get a loan for $1 million. The bank says, okay. And they create $1 million. When they give you that loan for $1 million, they just created that money into existence. You can go out and spend it, but no one ever moved $1 million, you know, of dollars into my pocket per se. And then when I pay that $1 million back, it's gone. Like, because I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Because the banks don't have that kind of money in their vaults. So, you know, and that's just at $1 million, you know. So when corporations go and get money from big banks and it's like, all right, Citibank is going to give corporation XYZ $10 billion. They just created it. And then you have, because the way George Gammon breaks it down is like, oh, it's just assets and liabilities. And, you know, this liability went off of this part of the spreadsheet, and went over to someone else's spreadsheet as a liability or asset or whatever. And I know I'm bad at explaining to guys because I still have to get myself up to speed on that. I watch a lot of the George Gammon whiteboard stuff, and I sit there and it's like, shit, I gotta watch more. I've been looking at other things. I gotta watch more. And brother D Mac, like, this is the only way we're going to get out of this mess. The other option is to tax people at 75%. Yeah, we might even see that, bro, which would be fucked up. Let's see, brother Michael. That's what Roosevelt did in the Depression to stop the liquidity trap for the banks not lending and people not spending. $20 to $35 gains on the balance sheet per gold ounce. Oh, okay. Okay. So with that in mind, because we were on the gold standard back then, you know, you hear people talking about, oh, we're going to go back to the gold standard. Or go back to some sort of standard. Like, can we tie money to something valuable that this, you know what I mean, that's not infinite, right? Something that's, you know, you got me thinking now, bro. So anyway, these are the conversations that Americans should be having, right? Except for folks right out here talking about all this other stuff. No one's talking about the debt. And every time you bring it up, I think maybe the conversation gets too difficult to think about. And people are like, oh, I don't want to think about that. Let's talk about Palestine. Let's talk about Ukraine. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Like, nah, man, I think what's going to bring America down is our debt. It's like, if you look into how M1 and M2 money supply works, you'll understand it better. I'm going to have to look into that, bro. Because I've been looking at World War I lately. I've been doing a lot of research on World War I and looking at the Pacific theater of World War II. You guys know I'm one of those kind of buffs. That's what I've been looking at. I've been reading a little bit on the Depression. I've begun looking into the Depression, like what caused the Depression? You know, what did Hoover do that was so bad? You know, how come people didn't revolt? I've been kind of looking into Depression a little bit, just little by little. But that's where I've been. I'm gonna have to start really looking at this money stuff, man. I'm still looking at M1 and M2. And you guys know I look at George Gammon, Peter Schiff, and Danielle DiMartino Booth. My man Tom over there on PBD. I listen to those folks, but I need to start listening to the other side as well, because, you know, you do have multiple trains of thought on finance and stuff like that. So I need to start looking at the other side. See, Brother Michael, dollars were a claim for gold, right? So yeah, just think like, okay, $1 was equivalent to $1 worth of gold, whatever that equivalent was of, that was like, point some ounces of gold. That's what that dollar was. Let's see what you're saying. Think claim check. Yes. If you issue more claim checks than things to redeem, you either get a first come, first serve bank run, or you raise the redemption price in dollars. Okay, I see what you're saying. And then that goes back to what Roosevelt did to get America out of depression. Okay, that makes sense. Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. Damn, y'all make me think. This is what I love about this technology, bro. We come together, bubbles that wouldn't normally interact, folks that wouldn't normally interact with one another. We could come together and we can learn. This is good shit, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Brother Michael is saying, watch The Hidden Secrets of Money by Mike Maloney, episode 4. Let me write that down right now. I'm going to watch that as soon as we're done here, which we still got to talk about Biden. There's a video on Biden we're going to watch next. So I'm going to stop talking about money. I'm going to transition over to Biden. The Hidden Secrets of Money. Let me write that down right now. Of money. Who is it? Mike Maloney. Thank you, brother. I am going to watch that as soon as we are done here. Brother Dino, from World War II, Dems have grown the economy by 4.4% each year versus 2.5% for the GOP, National Bureau of Economic Research. Facts. Okay, I see you there, but you know what I mean? The debt is still the debt, bro. Right? You can go look that up right now. Have a look at America's national debt. Go look at the debt clock. It's like the debt clock is about to break, bro. I don't know what fancy math we're going to use to fix that problem. He was like, I'll stop distracting. This is my passion project, though. Nah, bro. I mean, I want to keep talking about this. It's just that we got to talk about the Biden stuff. But I do appreciate you, bro. I really do, man. Please keep coming back and let me know, man, because how else are we going to get to the bottom? Like we want to present an argument to those people who wouldn't normally hear it. And then, hopefully the same thing gonna happen with everyone else that just happened with me. Like you give me a homework assignment. Hey man, go watch this. Okay, I'm gonna go watch it. Right? Like, cool. I'm gonna go check that out. What did I do? Hold on, guys. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. I just got to get that all set up. So we're going to talk about Biden in a second. And it's no distraction, bro. I like the conversation. And after we're going to talk about Biden, and I'm going to drop the link, bro. I wouldn't mind, talking about this more to help me understand what's going on. But your analogy, like the coat check analogy, I get that. You know what I mean? Because the dollar kind of worked as, because it was tied to gold. You could only issue so many dollars because you only had so much gold. But once we came off the gold standard, okay, now we're just free to do what we want to do. And a lot of people say that's why Nixon did that, because he couldn't get the money he needed to continue the war in Vietnam to the brother Players in Demand, right? The Vietnam War was never officially declared. We never officially declared war on Vietnam or North Vietnam or China, but we all agreed that was war. Like, it was a conflict, but yeah, it was a war. Right. It just, we didn't declare war. We bent the rules. But anyway, the money Nixon needed to continue that war, he couldn't get because of the gold standard. So he suspended the dollar from the gold standard temporarily. Watch the video. And we've been under that ever since. No more gold standard. Brother D-Mac, the entire world is done with America and its greed messing up the world economy. The crash of 2008 woke the world up. Yeah, man, but it's kind of like they're stuck with it too. So, I mean, is there a currency right now that can compete with the US dollar? Probably not. Why? Because of the petrodollar thing. But if Saudi Arabia, if OPEC decides they want to come away from that, okay, America has a serious issue. But then what? We send the military over. We just take over. That's another thing. Not only, okay, we got the dollar, but we're the biggest, baddest people on the block. So if it comes down to it, we might have to just go take stuff. Right? Is that a possibility? I don't know. You know what I mean? I just don't see America saying, oh, okay, sorry. We're just going to be poor over here and let the rest of the world prosper while we struggle over here. I don't see that happening. I just don't. I could be wrong. But let's get back to the second half of the race for the White House. Joe Biden, right? Again, still with breaking points. Shout out to breaking points. Democrats are anxious over a negative Biden economy. All of my Democrat friends, all of my liberal friends have been on me. I'm like, bro, things ain't looking good for the current administration. Not looking good for Biden and his people. But kind of like what Brother Dino was saying, but look at what they're done. Look at these numbers. Look at these percentages. Like, man, I see all that, but people aren't happy. It's always difficult for the incumbent when they're looking at a re-election campaign. It's always difficult, especially if Americans aren't doing well. Americans are struggling right now with all sorts of problems. It's, overwhelming debt, credit card debt. Your home is starting to lose value. Those who got those low interest rates are cool, but they're stuck. You can't sell your house and move because wherever you move, even if you try to downsize, it's going to cost you more money because you're not going to be able to get a loan at 3% or less, right? You're looking at people are borrowing from their 401k. So they're taking money for their retirement, trying to stay above water. People are maxed out on credit cards. And now we have this, buy now, pay later stuff, which is, that is also a problem. People are just taking, consuming, and they don't have the money for it, right? Americans are not happy right now. Gas prices are up. The cost of groceries are up. Everything seems to be up. Insurance is out of control in certain places like Florida, Texas, California. There are cases of people, homeowners insurance has gone up 100% plus. There are places, even like here in Florida, down in Dade County. I was talking to a new YouTuber, Cat, and they were saying, oh yeah, homeowners association. They were talking about their HOA, and I asked if their HOA insurance went up, and they're like, no, we have a house, and HOA is homeowners association. It's like, okay, so there must be in a house, because in Florida, in the condos, the HOA has insurance as well as the individual owner of the condo. So the HOA charges you on top of your insurance. And you have HOA having to do modification to the building because they're having problems with buildings falling down. They're having to get these tests done and these surveys done, and insurance is going up, and the costs for doing these tests are being passed along to the people in the building. So there are folks out there whose HOA payments are higher than the mortgage on the condo itself. So we got that going on in Florida, which is insane. Insane. So Americans aren't happy. Right. So the Democrats are just now starting to figure this out. When Joe Biden ran against Donald Trump, it was supposed to be a 4-year mission. That was his mission, was to win and be there for 4 years. He said that's all he wanted. Right. And here he is running for re-election. Now the Democrats are in trouble. Now all the Democrats are finally starting to see, like, hey, man, this people ain't happy. They're not happy. Right. And, it's folks in like, I'd rather vote for the other guy because I don't like what you're doing today. They're not going to think about what the other guy did when he was in office, or they're going to go vote for a third-party candidate. So again, this is one of the worst choices I've ever seen. Like, it's crazy. So let's check out this video. Again, this is Breaking Points talking about Biden. Uh-oh.
This away.
Mission amongst the Biden. Let's go ahead and move to Joe Biden, as we said, his own presidency. What's happening here? Where there is a growing recognition amongst the Biden campaign. Things are not going very well. Let's put this up there on the screen. Biden needs more empathy on the economy, Democrats say. I can't help but just love these things. Empathy on the economy. It's like, yeah, that's what we need. We need empathy on the economy, not policy on the economy.
They always assume it's a messaging issue, not a reality issue.
The president often touts strong job numbers, even as voters care more about inflation. Yeah, those stupid voters. Voter pessimism on the economy and Biden's handling of it appear locked in over 5 months before Election Day. Surveys showing many voters holding a rosier view of the pre-pandemic economy under Donald Trump, the presumptive Republican nominee. As he talks about the economy, Biden has often put an emphasis on positive data. At a recent fundraiser in Boston, he actually was touting his numbers on jobs and investments in manufacturing. We have to do more, but he says, but inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%. But what about cumulative inflation, my guy? What's the amount of inflation today versus where it was when he took office? That is more than 20%, especially whenever we look at grocery prices, gas prices, many of the other critical things, home prices as well. They say, and as we pointed to in our previous show, the Cook Political Report already shows Trump leading Biden in 6 out of 7 swing states. That's just one. We've done myriad polls here. I basically haven't found a single one where Biden is leading in the majority of those states. If we look at the Real Clear Politics polling average, Trump is up in every single one of these except tied, I believe, in the state of Wisconsin. I mean, these are all not just terrible polling numbers, but the fundamental strengths for Trump point to the exact same signs of strength where they were in 2020. So even though 2020 was off in terms of Biden, the one that we would consistently hear from the Trump campaign and others was look at his numbers on the economy. They're strong, strong, strong. And we would always, I wouldn't say brush it off. We're like, maybe, but COVID is still the number one issue. The economy really came to save Trump whenever it came to making the election as close as it was back in 2020. And it really was the main driver, a lot of his growth, like with Latinos. Increasingly, we watched that young people, Black voters, Latino voters, bleeding parts of that coalition to Donald Trump, highly strengthening him in the Sun Belt and possibly, all across the nation. All of that comes back to economic pessimism under Biden and economic, at least, back thinking that Trump can recreate some of the success that he had whenever he was president.
And
so what he's saying is true. I'm seeing that. I'm hearing that on the ground. Like, not just here in Florida, but I'm hearing it with my people in Cali. I'm hearing that with my people in Ohio. I'm hearing that with my people in Georgia, right? The thing is with the young folks in particular, are they going to vote? Yes, they're saying all these things. Yes, when they fill out the form or when you ask them in some sort of, doing some sort of poll, they're going to say, yeah, I want to vote for Trump. I think I'm going to vote for Trump. Trump is better. But are they even registered to vote? And if they are, do they plan to vote, actually go out and vote in the election? I don't think so. It's not like with the Bernie Sanders young cats, the young people, or the Barack Obama young people, those college educated kids or kids in college who were, really, really revved up and they went out and voted. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're going to go out and vote. So again, when you're looking at these polls, there's a lot to read into that thing. But when you're talking about it, I mean, one of my dudes, man, DC813, shout out to him, man, real funny comic. I mean, he does a hilarious 8 minutes on life under Trump versus life under Biden. It is the funniest bit I've heard in a very long time. Shout out to DC. But that gives you an idea of what people are thinking. The thing with comedy, man, comics are just a reflection of what they are hearing and seeing in the streets. Brother Dino is saying the Trump $2.3 trillion tax cut for the rich ends in 2025. So the Dems would pay down even more on the debt. I don't know about that, bro. I mean, that sounds good in theory. But if Biden somehow manages to hold on and get 4 more years, and if Biden manages to keep his health together for those 4 years, right? If he gets his money, if they get their hands on his money, won't that money probably go to infrastructure? And that money is probably going to go to forgiving student loan debt, right? You're going to have that. And then they're going to have to start talking about healthcare. So some of that money is going to go to healthcare, right? So I don't know if that's going to pay down the debt or not. I mean, who knows what's going to happen after the election? Y'all know what it is. People going to promise you the world, but as soon as they get what they want, man, they going on about their business.
And I think while some Democrats and some people in Biden world are increasingly concerned, they're increasingly sounding the alarm. All indications are that Biden and his core team are like, no, we got it, are totally complacent. They think they're being underestimated yet again. They overlearned the lesson of 2020, in which they were sort of like written off, understandably, because they were getting like 4th and 5th place in every primary, and then they were able to come from behind. And so they just have this total arrogance of whatever the polls say, I'm sure we're fine. We understand the American electorate better than you do. And so, we're just going to hand wave this away and live in a fantasy world, #unskew the polls. I think that continues to be the operating assumption among the people that actually matter in the Biden camp, which is a very small circle of people. At least that's what I have to assume, since they're not really changing course on anything.
Right. They're taking out, they're doing what the Hillary Clinton campaign did. They're taking a lot of shit for granted, thinking, oh, they just, what, are they going to actually vote for the other guy? Yeah, that's what's going to happen. They're going to vote for the other guy. Wonderful 34 is in the building. What's good, fam? Good to see you, brother D-Mac. He like, Trump is a bully, but he's my bully, and I will vote for Trump. My taxes went up under Biden tax laws. And I believe when a grown man like brother D-Mac says something like that, I believe that's what he's going to do. I personally can't vote for Trump. I'm not going to do it. I can't. It's just, I'm just fundamentally can't vote for that guy. But most people in America will vote their wallet every single time. They will vote what they believe is best for their family and their financial situation every single time. You know what I mean? Every single time. D-Mac is saying the reason Biden is running is because Kamala Harris can't win. But they should have dumped Kamala Harris, right? They should have had a primary, and they should have, let's see what Democrat floats to the top, and then we're gonna deal with that. You know what I'm saying? That's what they should have done. But no, I guess they don't believe in Kamala Harris nor any other Democrat out there, I believe this is going to be their downfall. I think it's going to be their downfall. I'm just shocked that this is the choice, Trump and Biden. I'm just shocked.
And, it's so true. Like, they really believe that the issue for them on the economy or with regard to, Israel and the upset with their foreign policy is like, oh, we just got to find the right slogan. We got to find the right method. We're going to show you in a little bit. They're hiring a meme manager to appeal to the young people. That'll fix it. Maybe it's not a messaging problem. Maybe there's a reality problem here. Maybe people see that their net worth has declined. Maybe people are still feeling the lingering impact of inflation, which continues, by the way. It's not at the high levels that it was, but it does continue. One of the things that we were looking at previously when we were feeling a little bit more, Joe Biden could still pull this thing off, was that the consumer sentiment and people's feelings about the economy were getting better. They were sort of like trending in the right direction. Things were sort of trending in the right direction for him. That has stopped. And so now I think part of what's reflected in this piece from whatever Democrats they talk to who are actually pulling the fire alarm is this realization that, like, okay, there's not going to be some magical rescue of the economy that makes people feel different before Election Day. So we have to deal with this landscape as it exists, and just gaslighting people and trying to convince them things are better than they actually are is not the ticket. The ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can tell that Crystal is more of a liberal, more of a pro-Biden person than she is Trump. You can tell the difference, right? And even she can't sit there and try to gaslight for her peeps. Like, she's like, nah, man, they messing up. And this is another reason why I like this program. She's like, nah, man, I'm not feeling it. She's very passionate about what's going on in Palestine, like most Americans are. Brother Michael is saying they are currently monetizing $1 trillion every 100 days. I expect it to hit $1 trillion a month by 2026. Damn. If that happens, bro, that's a wrap. That's a wrap. And Brother Michael, what's that money for? Like, who are they? Like, they are currently monetized. We're talking about the American government, $1 trillion every 100 days, just to keep the economy afloat. Is that what we're talking about, bro? I'm curious.
Exactly. And well, Crystal, do we want to take people through this quote? If we want to just give everybody a perfect example of what cope on an industrial scale looks like, let's put this up there on the screen. This is the latest New Yorker interview from Isaac Scheutner with Simon Rosenberg. He is a Democratic strategist, and he is one of those who firmly believes that President Biden is not getting the credit that he deserves and that he's actually doing much better than he currently is. So let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen, shall we? Now, Here it says, is the Biden campaign running on false hope? They say, as 538 makes clear in their piece, while the polls in a few closely watched races were biased towards Republicans, the polls overall still had a bit of a bias towards Democrats. That's because generic ballot polls, the most common type of poll last cycle, has a weighted average bias of D+19, and polls of several Leslie coach watch races like governorships and Ohio and Florida have skewed towards Democrats. Okay, let's go to the next part. And he says at the very end, he literally goes, I am ending this interview because what you're doing is ridiculous. And he says, I have definitive proof what you're saying is not true. I don't care. I know what 538 wrote. I live this every day. So the point is that you are saying is wrong. I am on the record saying that what 538 have written is incorrect, and I have given you definitive proof otherwise. He literally believes that his own internal, like, skewing the polls crystal is quote direct proof. He says the point I am making is that polls couldn't have been correct in 2022 if Real Clear Politics ended up 54 seats in the Senate. I mean, it's just not possible, right? So he keeps using, recency bias throughout the interview. But so much of this is an inability to grapple with the data of today. And I really encourage people to read this.
Read this whole, it was astonishing.
It is.
Because, okay, so just to give you a little bit of backstory on this dude, he came to prominence in the midterms because he was one of the few people who listened to his credit, was kind of right. He was like, this red wave thing is not happening. I think Democrats are going to do just fine. And he was right. Ryan, I believe, and Emily had him on counterpoints to make the case in favor of the Democrats before the midterms. And so that gave him a lot of cachet. So people have been really following. I think he has a Substack. I think it's called like Hopium, something like that. Right. Yeah. So anyway, he has a Substack where he does his like, here's why things are actually great for the Democrats, and don't worry, you got nothing to worry about, et cetera. That's like how he makes his living, at least some portion of it at this point. So he's got a lot personally invested in this narrative. That's important to keep in mind. And listen, if someone's got a track record of success, you should take them seriously. So I've been watching what he's been tweeting out, and I'm like, okay, well, what's the case for the Democrats? Nothing, and I'm not the only one who said this, but nothing has made me feel more like, oh, they're getting their asses kicked.
Yes.
Than seeing how flimsy and how fragile this man was when he was pushed at all. Like Chotiner, if you guys have read any of his interviews, he's famously an excellent interviewer. And even in these phone conversations, like the number of people that he is just embarrassed and humiliated is, miles long. I don't know why people even agree to the interviews. I don't know why they don't better prepare for the interviews. But anyway, it's always worth reading because he exposes people. He's very good at that. But on this one, he wasn't even going hard. He was just like, hey, but 538 says this other thing. And Rosenberg freaks out, tries to end the interview because this is just insane and I'm ending this interview. This is ridiculous. Chotiner seems genuinely shocked. He's like, wait, why? What's going on? And so it just shows you even their greatest advocate, when even pushed on his data the tiniest bit, just completely crumbles. So,
and she has a good point. The Biden people understand, the Democrats understand that they have a serious problem right now. They got a serious problem. They don't know what to do about it. They don't know what to do. Both of these videos are linked below if you guys want to watch the rest of it. I mean, I just wanted to show a little bit of that so you guys can see that they're worried, bro. They are worried. No one knows, who's going to win this thing. We still got some time before November rolls around. No one knows. The biggest thing you need in a close race is you have to look the part. And when you look at Biden, people aren't confident in what they are seeing. Like someone like me, it's like, man, voting for him, that means I'm voting for Kamala Harris, to D Mac's point. Like, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. There's no way this guy's going to make 4 more years in the toughest job on the planet. There's no way. It's just not going to happen. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm going to keep doing what we're doing here. I'm going to just research and look at stuff. Ooh, it is crazy. Brother Michael is saying the Treasury is borrowing into existence through the commercial banking system and adding to the national debt to cover rising expenses. And bro, I have heard that. I have seen that. I've seen people do kind of charts and graphs to kind of explain to you how, one of the many ways the government kind of gets money into existence. We know banks will just loan money into existence, but the government does it on a whole nother level. And getting people to buy government debt. What are the treasury bills? Trying to get people to buy bonds to, that's where that's how you do it. But they're also doing, I think there's another way that they're doing it, which is just all the way effed up. I can't think of it right now. I was watching something a couple months back. But anyway, next time we get together, Brother Michael, next time we get together, man, I want you to man, just go ahead and just let me know everything that you can about what's going on with this, bro. Because I'm watching the national debt like you're watching the national debt. I'm trying to figure out what's holding up our economy because I really don't know. I don't know what's holding up the economy. Like, you look at everything. And let me ask you this last question before we wrap things up. If Jerome Powell begins to lower interest rates, what's going to happen? Brother D-Mac, Brother Michael, Brother Pitney, you know what I mean? What's going to happen if Jerome Powell decides to stop fighting inflation and lower the interest rate? Brother Dino was like, Clown Trump raised the national debt by $7.8 trillion in 4 years after inheriting Obama's growing economy. Yes, he mishandled the pandemic, all that money that Trump, like the STEMI money and all that money he spent. And you know what? Biden came in and spent just as much money on different programs. They did the same thing. That's why I'm not cool with either one of these guys. I don't want either one of them, to be honest with you. They did the same thing, which fundamentally hurts America because it hurts the financial system. Brother D-Mac, Biden made a statement about taxing capital gains at 46%. I earned more from my investments than I did from my salary at work. And you're doing really good, D-Mac, when you get to that point, bro. But I get where you're saying. It's like, damn. Right? Like, what if you didn't have those investments, which means that your money is going down, your purchasing power is going down, right? Think about that. Not only, like, you could be making a lot of money, right? You're doing pretty good, and then you start taking a hit to where your income is stagnant, but your purchasing power is going down as well. So even if you got more money, like, oh, I got a 25% raise or whatever, 10% raise, 15% raise. Yeah, but inflation is up, 28%. I'm just making up numbers, but you get what I'm saying. Like, if you're making this, but inflation is up here and rising, right? You're making more money, but stuff costs more. So what difference does it make? It's like, oh yeah, I'm making $800,000 a week. Yeah, but you need $1.8 million a week to live, right? So who cares? I just wonder what happens if Jerome Powell gives up on fighting inflation and he lowers interest rates. If he caves to the pressure and he lowers interest rates, what will happen? I don't think he'll do that. At least I don't think he'll do that before November. On the other side of the election, who knows what he's going to do? I'm really hoping he's committed to fighting inflation. I'm hoping interest rates go up after the election, maybe a basis point or two, so he can show that he's serious to, send that message to Wall Street. I'm not playing around. We're bringing in interest rates down. He say he want to get them down to that 2% target. And it's just, we're not getting there right now. We're just not getting there right now. So yeah, that's it. Like, that's the update on the race right now. Donald Trump is out there trying to get any vote he can. He's going to, to the fringes to get them. And he went before the libertarians and got booed. I think it's the first time he's ever dealt with that. Go back and watch the clip again and look at his face. He just didn't know what to do. Right? That's what happens when you bomb, brother. If you're going out there and you want to be an entertainer, hey, we all go through it. You get booed. Sometimes you bomb. You bomb a lot before you get good. And he finally bombed, right? And he's in front of folks, again, that look like his people. There were absolutely venom in their eyes. Like, man, they're like, oh my God, they hate me. Yeah, they hate you, bro. They do not like what you did when you were president, and you're there asking them this shit, man. They gonna get to you, bro. And then you look at Biden. You look at Biden, and his people are kind of like, We don't know what's going on. Everyone else is lying. We're the greatest. People are going to vote for us because they're not going to vote for the other guy. Nah, people are going to vote their wallet. Brother Michael, Jerome will try to keep the economy looking as secure as possible until the election hits. Jerome does not want Trump to win. Okay. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I thought Powell was as impartial as you're gonna get, considering the people who came before him. But okay. So he's gonna continue with the Fed pause then. If he wants Biden to look better, then he's going to drop interest rates, at least a basis point. We'll see. If he wants to help Biden, he's gonna want to drop interest rates so the big corporations can get their budgets financed at a lower rate so they don't have to walk away from these big skyscrapers and stuff like that, so they don't have to file for bankruptcy. Right? Because this commercial real estate thing is on fire and it's going to implode at some point. And they need cheap interest rates in order to roll over all of their debt. So at least that much I understand. So if he wants Trump not to win, then he's going to have to drop interest rates drastically to kind of stave off this thing with the commercial real estate implosion. Brother D-Mac, he shouldn't lower interest rates. It will be the worst thing to do. We are in this mess because of cheap money has flooded the streets for years. And I agree with you on that, Brother D-Mac. Brother Michael, Trump has threatened to throw the wrench at the Fed. They don't want to deal with that radical shakeup. Yeah, I can see that. And Brother D-Mac, interest rates need to be 15% to battle inflation, at least 15%. Interest rates need to go up for real, double digits. They really do. I mean, you got to go all the way back to the 80s and see what Paul Volcker did. That's what Jerome Powell needs to start looking at and possibly doing. But he's not going to do anything until the election hits. As far as Trump goes, Brother Michael, I say this to all my my Republican and Democrat friends out there, my liberal and conservative friends out there. I tell them this: no one knows what Trump is going to do if he gets into the White House, including Donald Trump. No one knows. And that's probably the biggest reason I can't vote for that dude. I mean, it's a ton of other reasons, but no one knows what he's going to do. No one, including Donald Trump. And that right there, I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that, bro. But yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to throw out there today, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with Brother Michael, brother D-Mac, Brother Pitney, man, Brother Dino Dinosaur. I appreciate you, man. Brother Jay was in the house, man. I appreciate y'all coming through. I know a lot of folks don't like these episodes, but I do. I like to talk about everything, man. That's why the title of this program, man, is I really want to know. That's why we call this podcast I Really Want to Know. Because especially with this money shit, man, I really want to know how in the hell are we going to address the national debt? How? I really want to know. So appreciate it, Brother Michael. Thanks for that, man. I'm about to go watch The Hidden Secrets of Money. Mike Maloney. I'm about to check that out right now. This was fun. I'll be back later on tonight, probably around 8 o'clock-ish or so. And I'm going to talk about that thing with George Gammon. We was talking about Trump and the commercial real estate issues that America is facing right now and why that is important to everybody, how that affects even us brokies out here, right? So I'll see y'all later, man. Around 8, maybe 9 o'clock tonight, somewhere in there. Be looking for the thumbnail. I'll try to get that out there. Appreciate you. Y'all know what it is. It's summertime. We on that summer schedule, man. So I'm gonna be on here all the time, as much as possible. Appreciate the support. I'll see y'all later, man. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.